Who doesn't need a little love in their lives? Welcome to Discussions. Today is December 13th. I'm your host, Ian Hamilton Trottier, and we're going to bring a little love your way this afternoon. Dr. Gabi Lovve, Lovve, will be joining us today. She offers a matchmaking service. Best matchmaker in America. She runs Love Enterprises Corporate, based out of New York City. Offices in Los Angeles and Miami. And she'll be joining today with a couple of her clients to discuss the process of making love. What goes into that process? Now, we know that love makes the world go round, right? And on my program, I tackle subjects from climate change to vaccines to pesticides to issues in the CIA, elements of the Federal Reserve. Typically, on discussions, I go after issues that draw attention because they're controversial, and they don't get picked up by mainstream media. And as an independent station out of Wynwood, as I produce and host this weekly program brought to you every Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard, I bring to you what I feel you need to hear. Because when you turn on that bloob tube in your living room, you're not getting anything worthwhile, as far as I'm concerned. So, we're going to shift gears completely from anything I've ever done. And that means talking about bees, that means talking about moms marching against Mercury, and we're going to join and unite in love. And what's more important about love is family. And families are getting destroyed left and right, as far as I'm concerned, in 2017. And it makes it very difficult for families to survive. But it all starts with a good match. And Dr. Gabi Lovve is an excellent matchmaker. So we'll be welcoming her in a couple of minutes. January 10th, pardon the frog in the voice, January 10th, we'll be hosting Dr. Sherry J. Tenpenny. She's an osteopathic medical doctor, board certified, 3 medical specialties. She's been contributing author to Textbook of Food and Nutrients and Disease Management. And currently, she runs a center that reaches all 50 states and 17 countries. And she's extremely outspoken about vaccines. Let me quickly now mention my assistant. So the program continues to grow, and I thank you for listening. And as we gain momentum, the base grows. And Julie Gomez, I don't have her up on the site yet, iantrottier.com. Julie Gomez has recently joined me, and she is a contributing author and will be presenting typically a weekly article to you. And this week, as I'm going to quickly run through this before we're joined with Gabi, she's tackled an issue at Guantanamo. Now, and you have to excuse me, I was scheduled to bring you John Kiriakou for a second time to join last week. Had to reschedule because of a festival locally called Art Basel. But let's go back to Guantanamo briefly as there's an issue right now at Guantanamo. As you know, John Kiriakou Captured number 3, Qaeda operative, Pakistan threw him in Guantanamo. Spent 2 years in federal prison for 5 counts of treason for defying the Bush administration, the U.S. government in torture as his prisoner was being tortured. Okay, he's an American hero. He'll be joining us again. I'll be announcing that date again, but he will be joining us again. Let's quickly go into, and I wasn't going to present this today, but I've just quickly gone over this, and it's short enough that I can present it very quickly before we bring on Gabi. There's an issue at Guantanamo where the prisoners are drawing art and the military is confiscating and burning the art. Going into this very quickly, and you know what? Actually, let me hold here because we're going to bring on Gabi, and I'll get to this later. Gabi's calling in. Gabi, are you there?
Friend, this is Paola.
Gabi, are you there?
Hello?
Okay. One moment. A little snafu here. I think. One moment. Okay. So here's the issue. Okay, and I think that's, I'm going to introduce you to Paula. I think she was just calling in the station. I'll introduce you to her, but first we're going to go to Gabi, then we're going to go Paula, and then we're going to bring in. So let me run through this real briefly with you in Guantanamo. As you know, I self-produce and I host. So if there's technical snafus, issues such as that, there's the explanation. Julie writes, and you'll find her portfolio and profile up on my website very shortly. But Julie presents to us the following. La Bahia separates Cuba from the American territory known as Guantanamo Bay, the only American military base located in a socialist country. Guantanamo Bay is a naval station where prisoners suspect of working with terrorist groups are held without a court date. In 2009, a year after Barack Obama became president, the U.S. military introduced art classes to the detainees held at Guantanamo Bay. Prisoners would be given supplies and issues of National Geographic and told to paint to their heart's content. In October 2017, Art from Guantanamo, Ode to the Sea, opened in the President's Gallery of John Jay College of Criminal Justice. The exhibit is remaining open until January 26, 2018. On display are 36 works of art, from statues to watercolor paintings. The free exhibit allows those who are curious a chance to see art created behind walls. The exhibit will display some of these evocative works made by 8 men, 4 who have since been cleared and released from Guantanamo, and 4 who remain there. They paint the sea again and again, although they cannot reach it. However, the exhibit is sparking some controversy after the opening. Prisoners were no longer allowed to release their art to lawyers or relatives. The U.S. government is now saying art created in the prison belongs solely to the U.S. government. Major Ben Sacrison, a spokesperson for the Pentagon, wrote an email saying items produced by detainees at Guantanamo Bay remain the property of the U.S. government. How do you feel about that? Bren Brown once said, "Creativity is the way I share my soul with the world. Art is seen as an outlet and a form of communication by many. By preventing the art from leaving the prison grounds, the government is showing they do not want the world to see how inmates view themselves and the world they leave. It may soon lead to more people believing they have something to hide." Julie Gomez. Folks, I'm going to cut to a break. I'll be right back, and I'll have Dr. Gabi Lovve with me. Thanks for joining Discussions. I'm your host, Ian Trottier.
Yes, sounds great. Yeah, she just tell her call back. Yeah, okay.
Dr. Gabi Lovve. Are you there?
I am, Ian. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Gabi, it's been a while, and it's good to hear your voice, and you're very welcome. Welcome to Discussions.
Thank you.
So I briefly mentioned to listeners that you are in the matchmaking business. Is that right?
Yes, I'm mostly in New York, Los Angeles, Boston, and D.C., but I'm now extending here where you are in the Miami area.
Fantastic. And all of us, I'm sure, understand the importance of, pardon the pun, but making love. Love makes the world go round, and right? And it's tantamount in one's day, right? A good partner that brings that ambiance and feeling to your life is important. And not only that, but what the work that you do is excruciatingly important, because with a good base and foundation in a relationship that has a strong mutual connect of love, that creates what the world needs and what our communities so much need in a good, solid, loving family. So it all kind of starts with a good matchmaker who can bring those two sides together and flourish into this beautiful, loving home or garden. So tell us what you got today. You agree? Yeah.
I know. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ian. The whole basis of my work is exactly what you just said, and I'm really thankful to have me on. It seems to me you usually have a lot more serious topics on, dealing with politics and world-renowned issues and things. So I'm very thankful that you're having me on. And you just nailed it exactly why I feel so good about my work and my business, because I do think before we get into all the seriousness of politics and everything else going on in the world, it all starts on a personal level, and how great, A, we are with ourselves, and then B, how great we are in our relationships, and then C, we can go into how great we are with others, our friends, and our world. That's my belief system. So I agree with you. What you just said is that, yes, my work as a matchmaker, when I bring two people together in a unity, I'm not saying that you can't have this beautiful evolution and union with yourself, but when you can have it well with another, it is just double in power. And from then, we can be great associates, great parents, great citizens in the world, and it all extends from that.
And that's so important. And then what's incredible about really almost the therapy that you perform is that you work with such a different array of dynamics, in that you've got a pool of people that you work with and and then you're figuring out the finessing of which chemistry will work well with that chemistry and making that kind of love connection. And that's something that's extremely difficult, but understanding how that process is important and working properly makes your job that much more necessary for the prospective mate or single person looking to find that mate, because you can identify those traits and you can identify those chemical balances that will unite and make that kind of spark and love connection.
Well, I do agree. I do think 2 master's degree as a psychologist do assist that, even if I haven't quite finished them. But I do believe that all my training in psychology definitely assists that. Also, I've interviewed over 10,000 people at minimum in just in the last 6 years of my work personally on their love life. So I have a lot of data. And from studying statistics in grad school, I do tend to look at numbers and data per se. And so I know really what men and women in 2018, if I do say so myself, we're almost in 2018, so I'm already there. Hopefully we all are as well. You know, I do believe I know a thing or two about what men and women in America, I don't focus in any other countries, but what they are thinking about in their love lives. And where they hope and aspire to go from there.
Perfect. And briefly, tell us what we've got. 2 things before we bring in. I understand you have 2 guests for us, and you're going to introduce us to the first guest, which is Paula, and then you're going to bring in someone else for us. But before we do that, for those listeners in local to Miami, tell us what you've got working. I think you've got something going on with the local hotel. Is that right? Tell us what you've got working locally.
Yeah, yes. I have a great big event once a year in New York, Los Angeles, and now most newly in Miami. And the contract I have here is with Faena Hotel. And Alan Faena of Faena Hotel just got named #1 hotel in all of the world by Condé Nast Traveler.
Wow.
So I'm very excited to be connected. Yeah, it's a wonderful. And if you go to the hotel, which is in South Beach, it really is like a museum. It's so exquisite. They have a gorgeous place where singles and people in relationships can hang out called the living room. They have an after-hour places for those of us that like to stay up late and look cool in the after-hours parties that are going on in urban societies. They have that, but they also have 2 great restaurants. One's called Pau and one's called Los Fuegos. And they also have the #1 cabaret going on in all of the country right now called Sensation. In fact, I'm sitting here in my home right now watching the regular cable channel in Miami Beach, and the Cabaret Sensation is got commercials on all over it. So anyone that comes through my business, which is called DrGabiLovve Enterprises, and wants to see Sensatia or attend any of their restaurants or any of their venues at Faena Hotel gets discounts through my company. And right now what we're working on, just letting people know about, is my event on Valentine's Day. You know, Valentine's Day is a really sacred holiday.
Yeah.
For mostly women. I'm going to be honest, you know, I can't sugarcoat things, but it's a very difficult holiday for most American women, in particular if they don't have a date on Valentine's Day. And so out of that, and for couples and for singles that are distraught on Valentine's Day, I decided to have my biggest event of the year at Faena Hotel at Valentine's Day in 2018.
Wow. That's impressive. That is impressive. And I understand they have something called is this right? They have something called the Museum of Ice Cream?
Yes, they have, oh gosh, Alan Faena. I'm not sure why he didn't just own museums, to be honest. But the whole, anyone that's here in Miami, if any of your listeners are listening from Miami, I do urge you to go and check out Faena Hotel.
Cool. Okay, now tell us what tell us what you've got on deck here for us today. Tell us a little bit about our first guest, Paula.
Well, Paola is just a super gorgeous, wonderful, what I call, anytime anyone joins my matchmaking list, which is complimentary to everyone, is I call the women femme contenders and I call the men contenders. And that's strictly just to keep it fun and light, because most of us, we've all had our heart broken, or we've all had trials and tribulations in love, whether we're single or whether we're married. It's just seems to be the state of the human condition. And so I like to lighten things up and keep things very light. And so I call any of the women that are in my network femme contenders, and any of the men contenders. And so that being said, since I'm here in Miami right now, and I'm, with Faina Hotel on this event on Valentine's Day, I decided to bring in a femme contender and a men contender here from Miami. So I chose Paola, who is just a gorgeous, hard-working actress in her early 20s here in Miami. And once we get Paola on, I'd love to hear more about what she's going through with her work. I know she just booked a novella, a soap opera here, and she's doing very well, and she's extremely talented. And then I brought on Brian Hornstein, who is just an exquisite guy who's 24 or 25. We'll have to ask him precisely. But, I love Brian so much because he's 7 foot tall and I'm 5 foot tall. So I just think that's hot.
Law of attraction. Opposites attract. Right? Opposites attract.
Right. That's what he says. He says he usually likes short chicks. And I was like, okay, you're coming on.
Okay, so let's bring Paula on. We'll cut to a short break, folks, and we'll be right back with Paula. Thanks for joining Discussions. I'm your host, Ian Trottier. Okay, welcome back. This is Discussions, Wynwood Radio, wynwoodradio.com. I'm your host, Ian Hamilton Trottier. We're speaking today with Dr. Gabi Lovve. You can check her website out at Gabi Lovve. That's GABILOVVE.com. And if you're in the matchmaking need, or if you're looking for that love relationship, you're looking for that connection to make, Dr. Lovve is your go-to destination. She's based in New York, offices in Los Angeles and Miami. So she's our host today, and I believe we now have online her guest, Paula. Paula, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Gabi, are you with us?
I sure am. Thank you.
Fabulous. So, Paula, welcome to the show. You and I have never met. Gabi and I are friends, old friends. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Paula, who you are. It sounds like Gabi just mentioned that you're an actress. Is that right? You're an actress?
Yes, I am an actress. I am a performer. I've studied musical theater in New York. And after I graduated, I moved to Miami, and I've been professionally acting ever since.
Fantastic. And Dr. Love just said that you were in a novella recently. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a telenovela. It would be like a soap opera. It's for Telemundo, which is one of the biggest producers in the Latin American industry. And we're shooting here in Miami, and we started filming about a month ago, and it's amazing.
And what's the name of the program?
It's going to be called Mi Familia Perfecta, which in English would be My Perfect Family.
Interesting.
It's going to come out next year.
It'll come out next year. Okay. And what's your role?
Well, I'm the best friend of the main character.
Oh,
That would be my
fantastic.
role. Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of camera time, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's it's nice. It's fun.
Okay. Now,
I'm just starting, so.
good. Well, that's a good role. You are from, what country are you from?
I'm from Uruguay.
Uruguay. Okay.
Born and raised there, and I moved to America a few years ago for college.
Okay, great. And how did the college go?
Amazing. It was really hard. I mean, it's New York City, so it was super fast-paced, a lot of training, a lot of... but it was definitely worth it.
Good. So, now... it sounds like you are in the market to find a love connection. Would that be accurate? Would that be correct?
Yes, I am single.
Okay. And Dr. Love, tell us a little bit about who you've got on the program joining us today that might be a prospect for Paula.
Oh, well, Ian, you might be my partner matchmaker. I did not outwardly ever think of Brian and Paola as a match. I was looking at both of them as, my men and femme contenders that I thought were the, hottest, really, for Miami to be on. They're both just so gorgeous and beautiful, and I just wanted to be close with both of them and have them on. But now that you're helping me matchmake, maybe there is a match there.
No pressure, Paula.
Paola, she's Uruguayan, and she's got that wonderful, beautiful accent. And her mother is just as gorgeous, and she's Jewish, And so let's see if Brian, I'm really bad with these sort of things, like last names and things. Let's see if Brian's Jewish. If Brian is Jewish, not that Paola cares, because Paola's young and beautiful and very open-minded, and she dates freely. But, her mother would appreciate it if I was to set her up with a young, beautiful Jewish boy like Brian, who's 7 foot tall. Paola, by the way, before we got on the call, Brian asked me how old you are, and he also asked me how tall you are.
Oh.
And I said, we'll have to ask Paola, because I have no idea.
Well, I am almost 22, so I'm overage. And I'm not that tall at all.
How tall?
I am 5'0".
No, you're not 5 foot tall, because I have met you and I'm 5 foot tall.
I am 5 foot tall. I just wear really big shoes every time.
Oh, gosh, then you're going to be perfect for Brian. Can we get Brian on? Because he already told me he likes very short.
I'm super short.
Okay.
He's 7 foot tall, you guys. 7 foot tall.
All right, so before we bring on Brian, because I've been in contact with him and he called into my number, and so I know he's waiting for us to bring him on. Paula, let me ask you briefly. You're a hardworking young professional. You're an actress. You've landed a nice role in a telenovela. One of the issues, so on my program, I like to go after, as Gabi alluded to earlier, I go after some pretty serious stuff. Climate change. I had a climate change expert on a couple weeks ago. I've had on a guy who's very outspoken about geoengineering. That's weather pattern control and that sort of thing. I bring on people to talk about vaccines. I bring on people with pesticides. These are very, very profound issues that we all face together as a community. But one of the wonderful things about having Dr. Love on today is that, look, at the end of the day, the most important thing for all of us is love and a good, solid, strong family base that we can revert back to, that we know we can trust, that we know we can receive honesty from. And that is what we all need in life from my perspective. So that's what threads in kind of my overall message, and my website is my first and last name, which is INTROTTIER.com. And, of course, I use Winwood Radio to broadcast my message. But my tagline on my website is simple, and it is be awesome. So there's a lot of different ways we can be awesome in life. And Dr. Love, what Gabi does, is making people come together and unite and spark and feel that awesomeness together and create great things as a couple. What you're doing is phenomenal. You're a young actress and you're entertaining people. But so here's a little more of a profound question for you, Paula, as a young professional, and then we're going to bring on Brian. Let me ask you this: what does love mean for you?
Well, I have the most amazing family. So I have my parents as role models, and I see how much they love each other. And that has meant a big part of my life when I was growing up. And I am 22, so I am having fun. But my goal is to, like you're saying, find a family and build something beautiful for the rest of my life. I'm not saying right now, but at some point. So love is super important in my life. Not only a relationship with a guy love, but any type of love, like family love and friendship love. Love is what drives the world, and it drives me as well. So
beautiful. Gabi, do you have anything to add to that?
I just love to hear Paola say this. It just really inspires me, and I hate to be a little bit of a bitter or a down spiral at times, but it's just the way my work is. I don't sugarcoat things, and I particularly like hanging out with people that are Paola's age and Brian's age. Just people, socialization, I believe, has us all by the balls, per se, in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like the younger community, when it comes to love, they seem to be a little bit more free-flowing, a little bit more open-minded, and a little less scarred. And so they seem to come in with a little bit less issues, or what I call limited belief systems. I don't like to use holding them by the balls per se, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, just limiting them.
Yeah.
They just seem to be just, what we all were at age 15, 16, or 17, when we all just dove into that love of just going, hey, I'm excited about this. Let's see where it goes. And so I just urge everyone in the world to just get back to that point. I'm not saying any of us want to be 15, 16, or 17 again. God, no. I'm not saying that. But we need to get back to this energy, like where Paola's at, where she's like, you know what? I may not want something very serious right now, but yes, of course, that unity with somebody and that power with somebody is my goal. And for now, I'm just being relaxed and having fun about it. I just think that's where we should all be.
Awesome. And folks, you can catch Dr. Love on WPAT 9:30 a.m. Teddy Smith's show. And I also understand that you are working on producing your own show or having your own show done in New York. Guys, we're going to cut to a short break. We'll bring on Brian, and we'll introduce Brian to the conversation and see where this conversation goes. Folks, you're tuned in to Discussions. I'm your host, Ian Trottier. Welcome to Winwood Radio.
Shit to pay. Kekolala with Fafa and Rara. Gotta go diddy with Dada for nada. It ain't appropriate. Let 'em stroke it, I get 100,000 hits on the internet. But that don't mean a shit. Even if you're legitimate. I wanna feel honey now, like I got money now. But that don't mean a shit. Even if you're legitimate. Na 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 na.
Na. So Winwood Radio is a music station. I am one of a few that do talk radio, and as you've tuned in and listened to me before, I tackle anything from the Federal Reserve to mercury being put in vaccines. But one thing I haven't done on my program is introduced a conversation about love. And we have today one of the best love makers in the matchmaking sense in America today. She's based out of New York. She's got offices in Los Angeles and Miami. Dr. Gabi Lovve brings an incredible perspective to finding that mate that you can just embrace, jump into with your full energy and your arms wide open, and just sink into and enjoy and be vibrant and live a vivacious, incredible, energetic love life with. Dr. Love will bring that and help you find that. So we've got Paula on the line, and Paula's an incredible young actress. She's worked at Telemundo. She's currently, her character is currently the best friend of the main character. She's from Uruguay, and she studied acting in New York. She's on the line with us, and folks, we're going to now introduce an incredible young professional to Miami, Mr. Brian, and I believe he's with us. Brian, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Gabi, are you there?
I'm here, Ian.
Fabo?
Brian with us.
Fabo. Paula, are you still with us?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Brian, welcome to Discussions. I'm Ian Trottier. You're live right now with Winwood Radio. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Brian, who you are, where you're from, and what you're currently doing. I understand you're 7 feet tall.
I am. I'm originally from Texas. I grew up in Dallas and made my way over here, playing a little bit of basketball. Ended up going to West Point before that, and made my way down to FAU before graduating there, and ended up working down at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown Miami. So I'm just here enjoying it.
So you know how to shoot a basketball, and it sounds like you probably know how to shoot a gun. West Point.
Yes, sir. Yeah, a little bit of both. You got the best of both worlds, I guess you could say.
Okay. I hear you laughing in there, Gabi. Okay, so cool.
I didn't know that about Brian. I didn't know you could shoot a gun. That's hot. I like those.
Thank you.
What kind of guns do you shoot, Brian?
I don't know. I mean, you can go to the range and pick out whatever one you want occasionally, but I like sports. I tend to stay more on the sports side in my free time.
Okay. And originally, what part of Texas are you from?
Dallas.
Cool. Okay. I don't know much about Texas, but I do know that things are usually pretty big in Texas, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I grew up in like the northeast part, so right there next to Oklahoma and up top, basically.
Good deal. So we've got online with us a young lady named Paula. Paula, what's your last name?
Me and Paola Santin.
Brian, do you speak any Spanish? Brian?
Yeah, I listen enough to get by. I got a lot of great encouragement down here in Miami.
Absolutely.
Ladies running around.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's probably okay because Paula sounds like she speaks pretty good English. Now,
yeah, I'm good with English.
You're good with English, and okay. So, what we're talking about here, Brian, is what it means, what love means to you. Now, to give you a little bit of background, if you haven't been caught up to speed, you look at my website, and what I do is I bring on controversial guests, and I'm talking about high quality, high credentialed people that have either presented their case on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Congress, or they're highly credentialed. They've written books, New York Times best-selling people. I dive into some of the issues in our communities, in our states, in our country, on an international level that we need to look into with great depth and insight. I'm taking a different. Gabi and I have been friends now for quite a while, and we're good friends. And I really love what she's doing, and I think the importance of what she's doing should be amplified, and certainly the basis of having that loving home and harmony in life, or whether it's your young professional, you're just looking for a person, a partner in crime to go out with, enjoy. That's where Gabi comes into place, and we're really grateful to have you on the program today. But in your opinion, Brian, as you know a little bit about what Gabi's doing, and I don't know if you know Paula or not, but what for you, as a hardworking young professional, what does that mean to you? What does love mean to you? What is that to you? What's the importance of that?
Well, I mean, I think it can, like you said, it can mean a lot of different things. But as far as a significant other goes, it's just, to me, it means someone who's going to be there to support you through thick and thin, whatever you may be going through. Obviously, everybody has their trials and tribulations, so to say, but to have someone there that's going to be by your side, no matter what happens, and even if they don't always agree with what you're doing, at least they understand you and why you're doing the things you do, and they'll support you, because they love you and they love who you are as a person, and they want to be there for you.
Pretty well said.
Can I interrupt for a second, you guys? I just love what Brian just said, because I work with many men from Paola's age, which is 21, and maybe even some 19 and 20-year-olds, and all the way up to the oldest I've worked with is age 79. And I just have a lot of experience on this range of men and women. The specifics might be a little different, but I just think Brian just hit something on the nail. And this is what I would like for all women to hear. And these are the things that I discuss and talk about very specifically with precise data in my lectures, like I'll be doing on February 14th. Brian just nailed it. He said support. What Brian, and Brian, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, 26. I'm sorry. Before I said 24. I'm bad with details. But so Brian is 26, and he just nailed what my data has shown significantly, that most men really want, whether they're age 19 or age 79. In that broad range, they want support from their significant other. So thank you, Brian, for just saying that. I think it's beautiful. We didn't discuss this before. That was totally you from the heart. And I just love you for saying it, because truly that's what men really need from us. I call the women femmes and the men, just to keep it fun. But that's what I hear more and more, Ian, from men, is that really what they really want. Yes, they want the beautiful. They want the educated. They want the funny. They want the lighthearted. But really, the first answer men really say is they want that support of who they are.
Amazing. Amazingly said. Paula, how do you feel about that? What are your comments on that, Paula?
No, I agree completely, because I feel like not only men want that. I think that in a relationship, it is essential that both people in it support each other and push the other one to live their best and be their best. And just support is super important, both sides. So I agree.
Well said. Very well said. Now, you can go. You can kind of shoot out if it comes to your mind, but I want to throw out a question. I want to throw a question out, and the question is: we're all over the age of 20 here. We're all adults. What is, in your view, what is the world? We're looking on a very broad spectrum here, and I apologize if that opens up the door a little too wide. We can hone it down to our own individual lives or our own individual circles. But what is most needed in your opinion? And we can start with Brian. We'll take it back to Brian. What is most needed in 2017? What do you feel the world is lacking in that umbrella of love and support? What, if anything, are we lacking and we need to contribute most of in 2017? What is this world lacking? We've got a fanatic place, right? We've got a lot of issues going on. Whether it's
Ian, it's 2018, whether we want to
That's
recognize
right.
it or not. We better be in 2018 already. It's only 15 days away. We better be there.
Well said.
Who wants to go backwards? We got to be future.
So 2018. And what are we lacking the most of? And Brian, what do you think? What do you think we lack the most of in 2018?
That's a tough question. I mean, obviously there's lots to talk about, but I'd say, when in regards to what Dr. Love is, I think, trying to bring up, and the importance of the relationships that we do build with, whether it's significant others or, like you said, just maybe even family members that you love, or other people who are very influential in your life that you do have those strong feelings for and you love. Just to realize how much those relationships, how valuable they really can be.
Cool.
Say that again, Brian.
Yeah,
how valuable what can be?
Maybe just how valuable that love and respect from those friends and family, or the other significant others, how important that can be, or if there's a lack of concern for that, how important to emphasize, hey, this person's here and they care about you and they love you, and how we respond to that. Kind of like what you said, what is love to each individual person? It might be different, but the fact that person might be there standing, waiting, or giving their all to be with another person, that says something. And it means something about them and, who they are and how much they really do care about you or want you to be either yourself or be successful or, so on and so forth.
Gabi, what are your thoughts on that? What are your comments?
Yeah, I just love that. And it just, just listening to Brian, I've talked to Brian a few times, not too many, but a few times, and I'm always inspired by speaking with him, because he just kind of nails it for me. What I do hear over and over from men in every different generation, that, like what he's saying is how, the importance of that particular family member, that particular lover, that particular wife or husband, that particular special somebody. When we look at somebody as special,
Yeah.
whether we want to admit it or not, we have certain expectations of what it means for us when we quote you as special. And exactly what he's saying right now is that you want to be acknowledged, you want to be supported, you want to be respected,
Yeah.
you want to be adored in the way that your energy is allowing you to give to them, if that makes sense. When we open ourselves up to make you a special person, it does come with expectations. Even if it just means that we are willing to buy you dinner one night, or as the woman, we're willing to be with you and give up our time to be at dinner with you. Whatever the energy is, once we give you some of our energy, we do have expectations. But they are great expectations. We just want to be the things that Brian just said: acknowledged, supported, adored. To me, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well said. Paula, what are your comments? Do you have any comments on your end there, Paula?
Yes. Regarding your question, what I feel like is lacking in a lot of relationships at this times is that a lot of times when you get into a relationship, you kind of have your own idea of what you want your partner to be. And when that partner doesn't meet your expectations, you try to change that person. And just agreeing with what Gabby and Brian are saying, you're just supposed to support the person and love them for who they are and not try to change them. And hey, if it doesn't work because that's not what you want, then it's fine. You can always break up. But it's just that trying to change someone, that happens a lot. And I feel like that is something that everyone should change, and that we should all understand that everyone is who they are. And we either like them or don't like them, but we just have to accept that not everyone is what we want them to be.
Gabby?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. She's so right on. She talked about, Paul, you mentioned trying to change someone. It's such a dead-end story, and it really is, and I'm glad that you know that. Because once we get to that point, Paola also mentioned earlier on in our conversation about how some of her biggest idols are her own parents and how much they love each other. Now, how long have they been married, Paola?
Well, they've been married 22 years, almost 23.
Wow.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So and they're hot and beautiful. And I've met them in person, and they turn me on. They are just hot and beautiful and sexy modern day people. No, they really are. They're just hot. And they have been together for 23 years. So from what Paola is saying from her experiences, that changing people is just useless. And I agree with that, not from having her parents, just from my own empirical research and the thousands of people that I've interviewed. When we as women or as men try to change our partners, it's a dead-end street. You might as well just go elsewhere. Because if you're with a partner that you're trying to change, because obviously Paola's parents, for 23 years they've been together, haven't tried to change each other too much. Or they wouldn't be together, and this woman who's their child would not be saying that that's a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You wouldn't be saying that's a bad thing if your parents if you didn't adore them and look up to them as a couple, and they were busy trying to change each other. So That to me is just wonderful, real life experience as to how much trying to change our partners does not work. If you're with somebody and you're trying to change your partner, just get a new one, because
Exactly.
it's not the right partner for you. It's just not. When we are possibly able to have longevity with a partner, and like Ian worded it, a partner in crime, or however else you worded it, it doesn't ever stem from, oh my God, there's something I want to change from them.
Right. Well said. Now, I think we're going into a totally different element when we're talking about a family, an existing family. Of course, Paula's parents have been married for 22, 23 years, and they've got seemingly, I haven't met you, Paula, over the phone, but I'd imagine you're an incredibly beautiful, talented young daughter, and I'm sure they're incredibly proud of you. And something that came to my mind was, as from a child's perspective. Now, your two parents have certainly worked together to make it work, and they've accepted one another for who they are, and that's I probably just comes with the territory of being in love with the other person. You love everything about that person, and any decision that they make, and you accept it. Most likely, I don't know, but the other thing that's interesting from a child's perspective is that child loves each parent individually for who they are. And sometimes, perhaps, in a relationship, it's difficult for the other person to see that the child. Now, we're going into a totally different dynamic here because we're talking about an existing family and the chemistry that makes that family operate. But we're looking at what we're saying, hey, that child, you know what? That child loves each parent for who they are as a parent. And typically, a child sees each parent as perfection, even though each parent is completely different. One's masculine, one's feminine, of course. But to that child, each parent typically is perfect and can't do much wrong. And that's another element. But let's get back to the young professional scene, and we've got young Brian in his 20s and Paula in her 20s. And Brian, for you, what is it that you look for when you date women and you're saying, this person could be a prospective mate, but I don't like that, so I'm probably going to move on. What is it, maybe your top 3, top 5, give us a short summary synopsis of what is the perfect woman for you, Brian?
The perfect woman for me. Well, I usually get the question of, do I like tall girls or short girls? Since the short ones usually feel like they're a little bit out of reach, but the short ones always find a way to grab my attention somehow. So I don't.
I'm super short, Brian.
I guess I have a weekness for the short ones. But I'm fair. I give everybody, their fair shot. No, but I enjoy, a girl who she knows how to laugh at herself. She can get along. At the same time, she can call me out when I'm acting up as well. Kind of like what Dr. Love was saying earlier. Every guy loves a girl who's smart and funny and can, be, anywhere, anytime, and get along with anybody, and just, be happy together with me or, whoever we're around. That's always a plus. But I don't mind. Thank you, Paula, by the way.
Say that again?
I just said thank you, Paula.
Oh.
Short girls. Oh my.
Yeah, I like tall guys, so.
Dr. Love is working her magic again.
There are no coincidences from what I hear.
What's going on here, Gabi? Dr. Love, we need an interpretation here. Analyze what's happening here. It sounds like we've got something going on. What's going on here, Dr. Love?
Flirtation, and they've never met, but there are no coincidences in my world. I didn't bring the two of these together on radio with you and I tonight because I didn't think they would connect. You know, I am an internal matchmaker. If I don't feel I'm making a match of love, or at least consistency or friendship or higher evolution in some way, I don't feel alive. That's just the way it is. So I'm loving the connection that Brian and Paola are feeling, even though they've never even met.
Yeah.
Well, you love what you do, too.
Do you love what you do, Dr. Love?
No, I was talking about Gabi. Gabi loves what she does. She's always very enthusiastic about her job, but she doesn't treat it.
Yes.
It's
a full-time energy for me.
Absolutely.
If I don't feel I'm bringing people together in a beautiful way, in some way, shape, or another, then I'm not being fulfilled by my own work. And that's a whole other topic, Ian. Fulfillment of work, you know, is something we can talk about at some time. But I just think that's very important, but not as important, actually, as our mojo.
Mojo.
As I call it. And our mojo is just exactly what we're experimenting and tasting here right now with just Brian and Paola, who've never met, and they're flirting over the phone. And I don't know another better word for what that is other than mojo. Okay, we all know after we have great sex, right? We have great sex, and what do we feel? We feel high on life. We feel, you know, somebody can bump into you on the street, and you're like, hey, wait, you just bumped into me, right? When you're in a bad mood, somebody bumps into the street, it's like, who's that? You know, that's not mojo. The mojo is that first energy I'm talking about. And whatever it is, I just feel like when we connect with another human being, and it doesn't have to be sexually, because a lot of people are low sexual libido people. Doesn't mean they can't connect. A lot of people don't even have sex. So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying sex is a good way just to represent it. But what I really mean is like when we just connect with somebody and we don't even know them, but there's a little bit of that suave feeling going on. That's what I call a mojo. And that's what I dream of bringing up to all couples I set up on a date. It doesn't always happen by any stretch of the imagination, and it's unpredictable for any matchmaker. But that mojo feeling is our goal.
Cool. Now, irrespective of individuals' religious beliefs, we'll bring in Paula, and this is a family program, so we keep the flirtation within boundaries. If there's it sounds like there is that mojo going on, and I congratulate the four of us. But let me ask Paula. What is it that you, and we've kind of we've put that question and the weight on the shoulders of Brian, and he bravely answered that question for us. So Paula, what is it that you look for? And remember, we are a family program, so we'll keep those passions harnessed. What is it that you look for, Paula? What is your perfect man? What is that perfect love connection for you?
Well, for me, what I look for, honestly, is I do like tall guys, but I have been with tall guys before because I really don't look at the outside. What I really expect from a relationship and want from a relationship for it to work is just them respecting me as a person and as a woman. Because of my parents, I see the way my dad looks at my mom, and that just gives me super high standards because that's what I want my man. Like how I want my man to look at me.
Wow. And how is that?
And
what is that look? What is it? Describe that look to us.
Well, that look would be looking at me like I'm the best thing that ever happened to him, I will look at him the same way, because it goes both ways, right? But just someone that looks at me and is so unbelievably happy to have me with my good and bad things.
Well said.
And that's what I want for my relationship. Everything else doesn't matter. If you're tall, that's better. But
you see, Ian, this is why I brought these two on as our guests.
Yes.
Is that
Because,
mojo?
man, Brian nailed it about all men of wanting just support, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And Paola just nailed it for all women. We just want to be adored. We want centrality.
Wow.
From the man we choose. If we choose to be with you, we want to be centrality. Okay? And
Wow.
this is what I'm going to be talking about at my lecture on February 14th at Faena Hotel. Centrality is what women really want. I used to say attention, but I realized that's limited. What we really want is centrality. And so what I'm hearing, what she's saying, that her dad, when he looks at his wife, he's looking at her, she said it, the number one person in the world. And that's what us women really want. So guys, if you really want to impress us, and if you're dating us and you really do want to keep us around, give us centrality. Exactly what Paola just said, her dad is giving her mom. He looks at her like she's the number one person in the world.
Incredible. And Paula, is it okay that your man, he might be able to shoot a gun? Is it okay if he's unable to clean it?
That's perfectly okay. Yes, it is.
Okay. Guys, we're going to cut to a short break. You've tuned into Discussions. You're on WinwoodRadio.com, and I happen to be your host, Ian Hamilton Trottier. I go live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. We'll cut to a short break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Gabi Lovve.
Scrounge money on the ground, money. Choosing black flag was choosing a race. They had a name for us, we was despicable, so disrespectable, like a dirty chemical. We was so attractable, mappable. People just wanted us to blend in and fade. Oh, you're a horror now, a visual foul. When I was a teen, I had incredible dreams. 99% y'all, it's in the wall, y'all. Constitution's fine if you choose a school, so kids know who's spinning the globe. Peace and love is a famous generation. I'm a lover, but I'm in it to win. Peace and love is a famous generation. I'm a lover, but I'm in it to win. Peace and love is a famous generation. Maybe a lover, but I'm in it to win. Peace and love is a famous generation. I'm a lover, but I'm in it to win. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. 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 Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
WinwoodRadio.com. I'm your host, Ian Hamilton Trottier. We just finished an incredible week in Miami. Art Basel was just in town. It brings, into my understanding and knowledge, 150,000 people to the area annually. So we've got Dr. Gabi Lovve online, and what a show she has brought to discussions in Winwood Radio today. We took a break, and Brian, who was one of her guests, had to step back into work, but Paula remains online with us, and we've got some interesting parts moving in this machine here. Dr. Gabi Lovve is a matchmaker. Again, she's based in New York. She has offices in Los Angeles and Miami, and she's briefly talked about her event coming up in what has recently been rated in Condé Nast as the top hotel. I'm assuming in the world it sounded like the Fiena Project Hotel in Miami Beach, and she'll be hosting a private event there in February. Let's bring back in the conversation with Dr. Gabi Lovve and her guest, Paula. Are the two of you still on the line with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, Ian, we're here.
So I think we had some sparks. I felt a little bit of that mojo. Paula, did you feel any mojo?
I did a little bit, yeah.
So for those listening, on the break, we had Brian tell us that he needed to step away. But it sounded like, and Paula, you can correct me or not, but it sounded like Brian was, did it seem like he may have been interested? Gabi, can you tell us, did it seem like Brian may have been interested in meeting Paula?
Absolutely. He was just flirtatious in a wonderful way, because it's easy for us femmes, I call the women femmes, remember, for us to tell really when a man is not interested at all. And I think Paola felt a slight interest, and he rolled with it, and he felt a slight interest, so he rolled with it more, and then it got her rolling with it more, and that's just the way it should be. It was just a beautiful thing.
And it requires that matchmaker again. We've got Dr. Gabi Lovve, and she's a matchmaker. So Gabi, you find that chemistry, you find that potential spark, and you put those two elements together, and you've got that pool of people, and you interview them, and you talk to them, and you know about their lives, and you know who they are, and then it's that kind of that finessing. It's almost an artwork that you're able to say, okay, I'll take this pen, and I'll take this pen, and boom, I'm going to put them together, and I think there might be something there. And whether directly or indirectly,
I love that.
Yeah, whether we're directly or indirectly, it seems like we may have, you may have done some of your magic here today. It just seems that way. And Brian seems like such a wonderful, charming, mature young man.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to hear you verbalize it that way. You verbalize my business so perfectly, energetically, and what I really do try to do. I'm excited. I feel like I did it today, and I just naturally do it. Like Brian and Paola have never met each other. Never. I sent them a couple, not more than 5, double text. When you send a text to somebody and then you add in another person, right? I did that to both of them just a couple times, just sending them the logistics about today. And that is it. And but I could have chosen, I don't have a large community here in Miami Beach yet, like I do in New York and Los Angeles or Boston or even DC, but I'm growing here. But I could have chosen other 2 people to bring on, but I chose these 2, yes, for exactly what you're saying, that energetic beauty we just heard that I was hoping would happen. I mean, that's what us matchmakers do. We hope. We can never guarantee. We can never know for sure. But that's what we hope we bring together. And so that was just a very natural, beautiful thing that happened between Paola and Brian. And Paola, since you're still on the line, I do hope that you guys meet someday. I feel like the energy between the 2 of you was fantastic.
Yeah, and if he's so tall.
Well, I didn't know.
7
You're only
feet.
5 foot tall. either. Like, he told me the other day, this is between you and I, girl talk, Paula. He told me the other day he particularly likes super short girls. I thought you were like 5'5" or something. I didn't realize you're only 5 foot tall. So you just like, oh goodness, if he heard that part of the conversation.
No, I am so short.
Oh my goodness. So you see, it ends up being a perfect, at least, on paper, they, to me, were perfect. And I didn't even realize that Paula was quite that short. But to me, it was great on paper. But then after actually putting Paola with Brian on the phone today with you, Ian, oh my God, that energy was just like awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, there was something special there. I deviated, as you know, from my normal, and I'm very glad and honored to have Dr. Love join the program today. And I think that this has been a spectacular episode. And again, it's almost, I think Gabi may have alluded to it earlier. We have a tendency to get bogged down in some of these very intense and deep topics and subjects of the world and of life, and we forget what's important. We forget that what's important is that chemistry that the child or the daughter sees from the eye contact that her father makes with her mother. That eternal touch that says, I love you unconditionally for who you are, and I am forever committed to you. And at the end of the day, that's why your job, Dr. Gabi Lovve, is so incredibly important. So I thank both of you and Brian for coming on the show. And like I always do, I always like to end, and I give each of you, and we can start with Paula, just closing thoughts and closing words from your perspective. And whether that is, hey, check out my character, check out my website, check out my novella, and this and that, whatever it is, I'd like to give each of you your closing thoughts and closing words. Go ahead, Paula.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Love is super important in my life, so talking about it is amazing. Gabi is amazing. I love her. And Brian was fun as well. And for everyone listening, of course, check out the telenovela. It's going to come out next year in Telemundo. My Perfect Family, but in Spanish. So that's going to be fun. And just that. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Gabi.
Well, thank you dearly for having me, Ian. You're always a delight. I'm here expanding in Miami. So if any of your listeners are here, because I know you have a broad spectrum of listeners, but if any are here, please do contact our offices. If you're single, or you're even just willing to go on a date, or you want to come and listen to my presentation at Faena Hotel on Valentine's Day in 2018 on 2/14/18, do call our offices, and we will see if any of our services cater to your needs at all. Dr. Love Enterprises, phone number is 888-854-7488. Once again, it's 888-854-7488. And our website is drlove with 2V's.com. So it's DrLovve.com. And once again, thank you for having us on, Ian. I really do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It sounds like we're the lucky few. We've already began celebrating the new year. Welcome to 2018. Guys, thanks for coming on. And I'll be in touch very shortly. Thank you. Winwood Radio discussions with your host. I'm Ian Hamilton Trottier. I strive on a weekly basis to bring to you important, perhaps life-changing elements of your day and your life. My objective? To educate, to inform, to enlighten, to build you up, make you a better person, and help you make choices and decisions to be awesome in your life, and make others around you do the same and become the same. We have issues in our day and our world that require special attention. We're an independent radio station, broadcasting out of the small district of Wynwood in Miami, and it's an alternative talk show. I provide to you conversations that you don't get in the mainstream. The show is growing. It's expanding. And I thank you for listening. And may we all, in the next week and in the next year, do our best to make sure that we're being the best we can to make that connection, whichever level it is, whichever type it is, but that we can love one another and make that love connection. Until next week, where I will bring back author J.P. Lindstroth, and I may have a special guest with me, but we will be talking with J.P. Lindstroth again about his new book next Wednesday. Tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. You can follow me on Twitter at INTROTTIER. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at INTROTTIER. My website is the same, INTROTTIER.com. I'll be back with you with a new show in a week's time. And until then, be awesome.